It is time now for our chart of the day. Spotify preparing to yet again pare back its staff, cutting 17% of employees in the third round of layoffs this year. Like many tech companies, Spotify saw explosive staffing growth during the pandemic. Headcount more than doubled during the past 3 years, with investors more focused on profitability than growth. Spotify has turned its focus to cutting costs, most notably in its podcast division. And Rochelle, it's worth noting that this is coming on the back of what was a surprise profit in the third quarter. Stronger than expected subscriber growth. So things sort of moving in the right direction. And yet the fact that we're hearing about more cuts from the company points to just the rapid rate with which the company scaled, which is certainly, Spotify's not alone. We've heard that from so many tech companies.
It's true, and especially those who really soared during the pandemic. I mean, when you look at what they were spending on some of these celebrity podcasts, of course, Joe Rogan is always the one that comes to mind, but they also had a lot of expensive licensing deals with record labels and with music publishers as well, adding to those costs. And we saw the CEO saying the platform now needs to right size. This is a very different environment that they have to be used to. And he noted the gap between the financial goal state and the current operational cost. It is more expensive to borrow when you're in a high interest rate environment. So all of that adding up here. So we have to wonder what the new normal for Spotify is going to look like. If they, as we mentioned, still getting the subscribers, but still having to cut these costs as well, Akiko.
Yeah, it does feel like the challenge so many streaming services, not just streaming audio, but streaming video services we've talked so much about. It is about investing in the content, but also keeping a close watch on having the content to bring additional user growth on board. By the way, the company has set a pretty ambitious target, saying they want to generate $100 billion in revenue by 2030. It's going to be interesting to see how they sort of combine the cost cutting with the additional investments needed in trying to get the additional growth, the additional revenue coming in this environment.
It's true, and it's a balancing act that they're having to do in a very competitive market. There's a lot of podcasting platforms out there, so we'll have to see how Spotify positions itself.